March. So if you haven't listened to the whole night,
you can say more words.
I'm just listening to you.
It's not that.
Yeah, I mean.
Words. Okay, so we are at the G.G.
The same one where, you know, but you know what? There's a
a little light for creepiness, I guess you could say. With my other co-host that I normally have on with me, we were talking.
That should be like.
I don't know, hold on.
We got the
One does.
So you have something to actually hold it in.
Welcome to paranormalxl YouTube edition. I'm your host. Hi! So that introduction is probably gonna get me every time. So funny. Where are we? Just kidding. Welcome to paranormalxl podcast. G.G. and Mama Mary's back for another episode. They're having good times, right?
That's right.
Always. It's been a day, to say the least.
We've had fun.
Always fun. Always. God dang, that thing just gets heavier. The internet. I can see it. Like, you see that little thing? It's like when it goes away. So when it goes away, it's good. I know that's not how it normally happens. Usually you want to see it. That means good, but go back up. Anyway.
Where were we? Yeah, right?
No, I'm just sex. I don't want. Okay. It's fine. Everything's fine. We'll figure it out later. Anyway, so as you already know, season 4 is all about aliens and just spaceships and abductions and all sorts of amazing things and so much knowledge out there for all of us to take in that I could just make a podcast, obviously, all just on that, because that's what people do. But we're going to put it into a season.
You're welcome.
Season. It's all about helping the people. That's who we are as people. Anyway, so do you have anything to say to our listeners and our viewers?
Well, it's nice to see you all again. Look for
I am been away.
more wine and more fun, right?
Yay! Listen, you tell us toward the end of the day now, because this is how I did. I know that. So super excited for our next guest. You see him backstage.
I can see him. He's waiting for us.
And he's like, God, shut the hell up. Let's
Wait
go
for the party.
So he has worked with MUFON. You can see him on his channels, Ancient Aliens, Sci-Fi channels, Abduction Diaries. Also, he's an author of amazing books. My notes say to play video, so I'm going to do that now because we know what happens when I veer off my notes. So let's do this, and we are going to bring him on.
Which means to recite. And so
So let's bring on Reverend Michael J. Carter.
Hey, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Veterans Day.
Yes.
Mama Mary, thank your dad for serving in Vietnam.
I will do that. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I'm the host.
Yes, you are. And go.
Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Sure.
You'll have to excuse my actions because it's been a long day and I'm just trying to make it through, you know. And
Mary.
I need a nap. Just kidding. I don't need a nap. I'm super excited. So they're ancient aliens. Let's okay. So your take on aliens in the Bible and go.
Wow. All right.
Super excited to hear everything you have to say.
And they're off. No, okay, here's my take. And coming from the perspective of I grew up in the Baptist tradition, so all this stuff was devils and well, we didn't even talk about this. And I knew nothing about it. So when I started having my experiences, it just seemed so crystal clear. And I want to be honest here. I'm standing on the shoulders of people before me. My good friend, who I have to call, is Dr. Barry Downing. He wrote a book back in 1968 called The Bible and Flying Saucers. He's a retired Presbyterian minister, brilliant mind, studied in Scotland. But he's not an experiencer, but that's not a big deal. But I started, when I found his books, it was like a water to a thirsty man. There was some female energy in the house. Reverend Virginia Brasington, right here in Asheville, North Carolina, back in the 50s. She wrote a book. A woman by the name of C.L. Turnage, who had the trouble, well, it was not trouble, but she was, she had a lot of health. No, she had a lot of health issues, and she lived in Dallas. But she wrote several books on extraterrestrials in the Bible. She was more of a Zachariah Sitchin disciple. And the list can go on and on and on. But for me, they gave me the courage to build on what they had already done. And so when I started having my experiences, I don't think like, propulsion systems and back engineering. I'm not wired that way. I think more about how it transforms you. Like just this is I'm not comparing this to war, but like Mary put a picture of her dad up in Vietnam. Everybody doesn't go to war. So it's like, how does that experience transform you if you're fortunate enough to get back? How does it change your life? How does it inform you? Well, for me, again, I'm not comparing it to war. It's just that the transformation that you go through, and everybody doesn't, but I did. And there are thousands and millions of people who have. So that's where I focus. So I say everywhere you see angel in the Bible, if you put ET or star person or what have you, it just makes more sense. It doesn't take away from the beauty and the profound truths that are in these books. I don't want to step on people's toes, and I really believe that. But I think our ancestors were trying to tell us that this is what they saw. They were astounded by the technology, and they worship these beings as God. I think this is where our religions came from. At least the monotheistic religions, at least Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. I'm not saying that, well, maybe in Yahweh's case it was intentional. I'm not saying that it was intentional to deceive, but we give our power away now to technology and to beings that we think are more powerful, whether they're celebrities or athletes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more often than what people should that you see nowadays.
You want me to keep going?
Yeah. Well, what
I can.
I don't want to say that. So, like, how old were you when you were like, "Yay, aliens"?
Oh wow. Well, I'm not good at math. I'm 65 now, so December 28th, 1989.
Okay.
Now, looking back, I could say I was being visited as a child.
Okay.
Because now looking back, but my conscious memory and in regressions, I've been visited, but as my conscious, when I've been regressed, this information comes up. But my
Right.
conscious memory was December 28th, 1989. I come back from Mexico, from seeing the pyramids in Chichen Itza and Tulum. And remember, I was not into this at all. I hadn't even watched Star Trek. Um, so I was leaving. I was drifting away from Christianity, at
Mhm.
least the way I grew up with it.
Right.
And so when came back, I was living in New York City. Um, got back to Kennedy Air, JFK. Um, my girlfriend at the time decided to go home. I had been invited to a party downtown in Hell's Kitchen, so I caught the subway down to Times Square, hung out with some friends. And I just wanted to kind of show off a little bit because I was real dark and my hair was light. I was in Mexico and they were freezing their what's off in New York. So I kind of wanted to float. And we had no alcohol was served. I had some deviled eggs. I love deviled eggs. I love them too much.
Who
And so
doesn't?
I went back home. And that night I remember turning over. I don't know whether I had to wake up to go to the bathroom or whether I just felt someone in the room. And when I turned over, because I sleep on my stomach, this person was in my room. Now, now he didn't have a robe. I had someone made it like a kind of Buddha for me.
Oh yeah.
But he had a head like this, and it may have been a she. Um, and he had on a jumpsuit that looked like Reynolds wrap.
Okay.
It was just looked like Reynolds wrap. It was silver. He was about 4 feet tall, maybe tall as 4 feet at the foot of my bed. And my girlfriend at the time did not wake up. She either way, she couldn't wake up. And so this was in Manhattan at the Excelsior Hotel. We lived in a residential hotel. It's still there, 45 West 81st Street, between Central Park West and Columbus Avenue.
Mhm.
And this being was there, and I was scared. I've been scared. I've never been as scared as that.
Oh yeah.
And so I looked at the person and it looked at me, and I got in a fetal position. And it was like this blue light around it, like a lapis blue, and then around that was all like my whole room was lit up. And so I pulled the cover up over my head and got in the fetal position. And I heard this noise like the wind was blowing. It was like, whoosh, whoosh. I mean, it was really intense. And I felt like I was outside. And I was like, what? Because we lived on the 15th floor. So if I was outside, it was significant, but it felt like it. And so finally, I pulled the covers down and no one was there. Sandy woke up. She's a very spiritual woman. She put up with it, and she just she believed me. And then they started coming twice a month for 8 months to a year, every full and new moon. Sometimes well, they would always paralyze me, and sometimes they would show me like a past life or something that would happen in the future. Nothing sexy like some big profound truth, but like an event that happened in my life. And
Right.
when it happened, I would go, "Oh my God." They would show me pictures of what they were doing. They worked on my throat chakra. It was like electricity going through me all the time. And they worked on my throat chakra a lot. And they paralyzed me. I don't know whether they thought I was going to hit them or what have you. One time they stuck a needle in the back of my head here, and it hurt like I don't know what. And I talked to a friend of mine. I wasn't sleeping at night. I mean, I was really going through some trauma,
Well, yeah.
and I wound up being regressed by Bud Hopkins and this woman named Jean Monday. They both crossed over. But and my friend said, you need to set some boundaries with these people. Really? And I said, what? They're not going to listen to me. And she said, oh yeah, you need. So she said, even if you feel stupid because they're in your house, you probably don't even see them. And she said, walk around and tell them. And I did. I remember one time Sandy came home at the time. That was my girlfriend at the time, and she said, I walked in the door and you were in your underwear yelling up at the ceiling. And she said, I just looked at you and I remember that. And I told them, you can't do that. So they came again.
Mhm.
Remember, it's twice a month. And I was paralyzed. And they showed me in my third eye a syringe. And it's almost like when you give blood and the nurse is so good, he or she, you don't even feel it.
Mhm.
And they put a needle in my head. I didn't even feel it. And so I thought that they listened. I thought that, hey, they changed their behavior.
Right.
Um, and I did my hair started growing faster, my nails. I got by with less sleep. All of a sudden, I had to study Reiki. All of a sudden, I wanted to be a healer. I can't. I guess now they call it downloads. I just felt smarter. I felt more intelligent. But most importantly, I felt that my heart opened up. It was easier for me. I'm a loving person, and I really am. But it just felt easier. It was easier for me to say I was afraid. It was easier for me to tell people I love you. It was easier. It was like something opened up in me. And then other people came, like this person came, this reptilian person came. They came twice, but he was big, and it was a male voice when he spoke to me, but his mouth didn't move. It was I had a like I had a speaker in my head. His mouth didn't move, but he would just look, and he scared the bejesus out of me as well because he just walked in my wall, and he was built like he went to a gym or something, and
Mhm.
he had a wife beater on. He had on a t-shirt, uh, and his eyes were beautiful. They weren't beautiful then because I was scared, but his eyes were beautiful because the pupils were like that, vertical. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
and they
Vertical.
were yellow. He was beautiful, but he wasn't beautiful then because I was scared of him.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
he said, "Don't be afraid," which is easier for them to say. Um, and he touched me with these, and he stood up on 2 feet and he had a tail. And nothing else ever happened. One other time, one came in my room and just looked. Nothing ever happened. So when people talk bad about reptilians, I just say, not all, because no one ever hurt me. Um, and so time went on, and I was getting away from religion. At least, Jesus was my brother instead of a God, and I'm even further away now. But remember, I was always studying too. It wasn't like they
Right.
waved a wand. I was reading existentialist philosophers. I was studying the occult. I was reading people's auras. I was doing tarot. So I was moving gently away to more metaphysics. I started going to science of religious science and unity and all that. So I was on a journey. And so, I got in a support group and that helped me. Luckily, the partners I was with, they didn't think I was crazy because these things can break up your marriage. It can
Mhm.
break up relationships. If one person is having these experiences and you're not, there's going to be a problem
Yeah.
because you start changing, you start getting around other folks, and it's easy to get jealous or attracted and all that kind of stuff. Um, and then I finally left my religion of origin, my parents' religion. And I started my own kind of theology. I mean, I'm a minister now, and I'm a
Right.
Unitarian Universalist minister. And so people say, well, how can you be a minister if you don't believe in God the same way? But you don't have to. And I knew that before I met these star people. And then um, on July 4th, 2014, I had a blood clot. And I have a lot of friends who served in Vietnam. One Otis, he's a short order cook. He was at Hamburger Hill. My friend Mike Panetta, and some other folks, they were they went across the fence into Laos when Nixon. I mean, we weren't supposed to be doing that. They were Fifth Special Forces, and I have a lot of friends who
Yeah.
were there. And so they were telling me about the stuff they had to go through, sleeping in a foxhole in the rain and the mud and incoming and outgoing artillery. And um, so on the 13th, on July 4th, they canceled the fireworks here because it was torrential. And I'm not a big fireworks person because, they start at 9:30. You got to get there at 7. You got to find a parking space.
Yep.
It's so crowded. You need a lubricant there. People are sitting so close. It's like,
Amen to that.
it's personal. It's really and then they show them for a half hour, and then
Yep.
you got to pick up and go. So I was so happy, and it was thunder and lightning, and I couldn't sleep. And I said to myself, this is what my buddies were telling me about when they were either in the Central Highlands or they went over the fence in Laos and what have you. And again, I had that weird feeling that somebody was in my room. The backstory is I had a blood clot, and I never had a blood clot before. And my leg was huge. It was from my ankle to the groin area. And the doctors thought it was going to kill me, but I just knew in my spirit that when I go, it won't be from a blood clot. But I had to take Wayfair, a Nexapare, and I was injecting trying to shrink this thing. So on July 4th, 2013, at hold on, because in California, at 10 minutes to 10, this person came in my room, a Nordic person. Only he had a hoodie, not a hoodie, Jesus. They don't wear it's a it's a
cloak
a cowl like they wore back in the 18th century.
with their big.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Like Mary wore when she was a witch in the 13th century. He had a robe. He had a rope belt, and I was like, whoa! And my heart boom, boom, boom. And it was the same way. Even though these other brothers and sisters looked a little different, he looked more human. But still, it scared me. I mean, how did you get in my house? So anyway. He held his hand out and an apple green light came out. I remember that. And I remember because I sat up like, what? And it hit me in my stomach, but I remember not feeling any pain. And then he just dissolved. He dissolved like you do on Star. His molecules went. So the first thing I did was when I looked down, my leg was healed. It was not, it was the normal size. I called Preston Dennett. I don't know if you know Preston. He's a good brother. You should have him on the show. He's written several books, but he's written books about UFO healings. But Preston's in California. So when I called him at 10 of 10, it was 10 of 7 there. So he was just probably hanging out or whatever. We did get to talk later, and he put my story in one of his books. But so they healed my blood clot. I had to go to the doctor and explain how that blood clot went away.
How'd that go?
I lied. Of course I lied.
Lied.
Of course I lied. They're not going to lock me up. But they kept asking me, yeah, Mr. Carter, but you were just here 10 days ago. We stuck your finger and we took your blood. You still had the clot. So finally, I just said to them that, aren't you happy for me? Aren't you happy? I don't know what happened. You're a person of science. I appreciate science. I can't explain this, and you can't explain it either, but it's gone. Why can't we just leave it at that? And they backed off.
Yeah.
And so the rest of that was history. So and then the last one, and then I'm gonna let you ask me a question because I can go on. This person came. This praying mantis person came. I was at I spoke at a conference in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Stanton Friedman was there. He was still alive. Travis is at all of them. So Travis was there. Steve Bassett was there. And that was the first time I met a CIA person at a UFO.
CIA.
Yeah. We could talk about that. And so they gave me a standing ovation. I had never had a standing ovation at a UFO conference. And I said, oh my God, good. So this woman, people bought the books. And so this woman who I made friends with, she lived in Tennessee and she knows some people that I know. We stayed in touch for a while, but she had a girlfriend And she said, I told my girlfriend about you, and she get this, she's a lawyer and a psychic. I don't know. You talk about left and right brain coming together. I don't know what jurisprudence he practiced. I don't know whether criminal law or I don't know.
That
But
sounds
she
like a
said,
lot of fun.
she said she wants to talk to you, and I said, okay. She said, should I give her your number? I said, no, no, just have her call when you're there. So she called. And she said, some nice things. And she said, I'm going to tell you something. And she said, and I'm telling you it's the truth. And I said, okay. She said, I see praying mantis beings around you. And I said, okay. I mean, what am I supposed to say?
Right.
So she said, I'm serious. I said, okay. She said, have you ever seen them? I said, no. My friends in Europe have seen them, but I just see the little gray, whitish looking people. And I see some,
Yeah.
I saw a Nordic person. She said, oh no, they're around you. And so she said, I'm going to tell you in 3 days, they're going to make themselves known. And so the first night, the next night, I was like, well, I don't know. It was like I said, no, it's in my head. My hair I was walking around my house and my hair would stand up on end. But that could be my brother. My brother was murdered back in 95. Someone robbed him and killed him, and he smoked cigarettes. And so sometimes when he was around, I smell cigarettes in the house.
Yeah.
And one time I smelled cigarettes around you, Mary, when we were talking.
I know.
But anyway,
You
so
smoke?
I said, no, that's bull. I said, she's in my mind, man. She made that shit up. And then the second night, it was getting a little weird. I kept hearing noises, and I go from room to room, and it would be like chills. And I said, no, she put that in your mind, man. The third night, I was lying on my back. I couldn't sleep. I was trying to meditate, and I was just drifting off. And I felt like someone on my bed. And when I opened my eyes, this individual was staring like that far from my face. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And it just looked, I was like paralyzed with fear and those big eyes. And it looked at me, it was almost like they were watering or something. And then boom, gone. So, and the only other thing I had was I had a dream. I was in the alpha state, but I wasn't already out. And then this person, Arcturian, came. But they didn't have that little thing on their head, but they had a big head like that. And it was like they were just there, like I just saw they were there, and then they left. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I would too.
Iced tea. Here's some iced tea.
Long Island. Is it a Long Island iced tea?
No, I like scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Really good scotch though, like the peaty, smoky scotch. I like some vodka. But I love champagne. I just love it. And I love cognac. And I like beer, but I like European beers.
Oh, you're fancy.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm yeah. I got what is it? I got steak taste, but and I don't eat meat, but I'm using metaphor. But I got hamburger money. So
yes, my mom always told me I had champagne taste, but a Kool-Aid pocket.
That's it. That's the same.
What's fun about
But
that?
anyway, but that's what it was. I love the Bible. I got several of them right here, and I talk about it. And I was telling Mary that when I come out again in September, I'm going to focus more on the spiritual transformation. People love the biblical stuff, and why not? Because it's just kind of more to it. My concept of God has changed. I don't the God, whatever it is, I don't even like to use the word. It's just less personal.
Yeah.
It's just more abstract. It's like an energy. It's an intelligence. I can commune with it in meditation, or if I go walk out here around the pond here or whatever. It's not a person. It's punishing me. It's not that kind of thing.
When he comes out in September, he's gonna let me do live regression on him too.
Oh,
Yes,
He's gonna be my next
yes,
victim.
sweet.
yes.
And I will be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm inviting myself there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure you're more than welcome, but yeah, but that anyway. If you want to, you can ask me anything, but that's where I am.
Okay, so you have a church that you actually
Yeah, I'm a minister there.
okay. So
And I'm not, just give me 1 second,
yeah.
because somebody from the church is just asking
Oh,
me about someone. No, it's okay.
there you go.
I'm on call. I'm always on call. But no, ask me.
So
Ask me.
what when you are writing your scriptures, what
You mean my sermon?
sermons? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't write the scriptures.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where do you get your
My inspiration. Your
Yeah.
mom and I were talking about this. Well, obviously, when I was in the more Christian tradition, it had to be the Bible. But with Unitarian Universalism, I can use the Bible, I can use the New York Times, I can use the Hindu scriptures, I can use a conversation I have with someone on an airplane. I mean, if it's relevant, I'm
Yeah.
free to use. I can look magazines. It's fun. It's a challenge because it's so many different um, like there'll be a Christian sitting next to an atheist sitting next to a Wiccan person.
That
We
makes
don't have
my
a
heart
creed.
happy just to hear that,
Uh-huh.
though. It does. It just
Yeah, yeah. We and people make fun of us because they say you don't believe in anything, but we just believe that all paths will get you where you need to go. They just don't have to be the same path.
no.
And we have some Christians, they're liberal Christians, like they'll look at Jesus more as their brother as opposed to a God.
Right.
But any God that's in Jesus is in all of us here, because he even said that. So we just try to keep it simple.
Yeah.
And it's some people, it's not for everybody, but it's all good.
Well, exactly. You're welcoming everybody. I love the
Yeah.
whole thought, the energy that goes behind that. Like that is so awesome because you just don't hear that very often.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. I mean, we have a sign that says love beyond belief, because love transcends all that. And
Put that on a shirt. I need that on a shirt. I like
yeah,
that.
it's called Love Beyond Belief. And we just try to welcome folks. It's not a UFO church. Some years ago, some people tried to get me fired when they found out I was on Ancient Aliens, but the church said no, which I was very grateful. I don't preach it from the pulpit, but they know that I talk about it, and they know I share stuff with them, but it's not the topic of my sermon. And if it relates, then I'll bring in a UFO thing, or
Right.
reincarnation or whatever. But I don't force it down. That's not what they hired me for.
Right. People.
So what do you think is the purpose of ET in your life?
Okay. I think when they were coming, I was in New York City and I was an actor. And that's a fast lifestyle. I mean, I was doing some soap opera stuff and all, and so, and some off Broadway stuff. And so I hold on, I'm just telling them I will see them tomorrow. Okay. I think it was to get me. I mean, I was drinking and sexing and smoking, and I was carrying on. I was living a fast life. And never once did they say, "What are you doing?" But it just by them visiting me, it made me go, "You're wasting your life." Not being an actor, but I was living. It's you party, you do the shows, and that's one part. A very, very talented friend of mine who's dead now, he was a psychic. He told me that he knew about them before I even mentioned it to him, which was astounding to me. But he was a psychic. So he was a very talented psychic. And he said that my relationship with them is from Atlantis. it's from Egypt, it's from past lives. So this is not my first time. It's not my first rodeo with them, but you know, between lifetimes, you forget.
Mhm.
And I'm here. There's one thing I won't share because it's a karmic thing, I think, and I need to rectify that in my life around them. Probably telling people they didn't exist or something. But that's more of a personal thing that I need to do in this life. But it's to show people, listen, I picked a brown body this lifetime, okay? I'm a male, I'm a heterosexual male in a brown body. Other times I was probably a different race, different sex. So I know not just because I'm brown, because you can be a woman and be marginalized, but I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to be different. I know what it's like to be alien. I know what it's like to be marginalized.
Mhm.
I'm also an anti-racism trainer. I've been recognized by President Clinton for my work, and I'm very proud of that. But my point is we're doing to them what we do to each other because they look different, because they and you just don't want to be doing it. You
No.
know, you don't want to be judging people like that. You want to be in connection, and you want to you know you at least want to you want to explore. You want to build a bridge instead of building a wall. And I think that is, but I do that anyway with Earth, with people on Earth. So I think it's just a continuation of a theme that's in my life.
So this might be a little controversial. A little look on your face. Just a thought, because when you're
What's
talking about,
controversial? We're talking about space people, Mary,
I know.
and those,
So,
yeah,
like
yeah,
talking about how ET came in to slow you down is kind of the same theory when you think about COVID. And so before COVID hit, I remember channeling ET and them telling me that something was coming. They showed me something was coming, and they gave me timelines of exactly when it was going to come. And then,
okay,
look, 3 months later,
boom.
I didn't realize what the message was until it until it happened.
That was actually
But
on one of the episodes, I
we
think.
did. We
'Cause
did
you
an
were like,
episode.
oh my God, hit record. Got shit to tell you.
Yeah, before it even
Yeah.
happened, because then it went into other things when I was meditating with Hitler and science experiments. What would you say? And I know it's controversial, so it's just a what would you say type of thing, where I always have felt that we are created by ET. There is God's source,
Yes, yes,
consciousness,
yes,
but ET
yes,
is too. So we've been seated
yes.
on this planet as experiments, and sometimes the experiments go bad, like the city of Atlantis. They take it out, they redo it, so that we can raise in consciousness, so that we can actually evolve, so that we can join the galactic community. So
Mm-hmm.
what if COVID was the same thing? What if it was some type of experiment to slow us down, to get us centered on love and what is really important, connection with others? What other better way to be connected with others than to be stuck at home with the people you're supposed to love the most? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a perspective. I mean, we know that anything is possible, but we also know that we're back to our same old tricks as human beings. I think I think those who are woke enough, and I'm using that word intentionally because I'm not ashamed of that. Buddha said he was awake. I'm not, I know how it's used in the culture, but my point being is this: when you're aware, you can see signs, you can get those messages, and you can say, hey, um, I can use this time for something else. Now, there are some people. So if you felt that, then you slowed down. I know for me, it wasn't a big deal. I like being alone. So when I didn't have to go out, it was like, but my friends, good people, they if you were an extrovert or you are an extrovert, that was a living hell because they need other people to get that energy up. So I think it's what you make of it. For someone else, it could be a nightmare. And for those of us who may see life from a different perspective, it was an opportunity.
Amen to that.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
it showed everybody, like, slow the hell down.
Yeah, it forced
Like,
you to.
I mean, it was beautiful. I mean, I see your point, Mary. I
People
see your
are.
point, Mary. There was less pollution because less people were driving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a lot going on, but again, for those of us who got it, and I'm not saying we're exclusive or we're better, but we saw something in it. And for other people, it was just like, you know, it was a manure show.
Yeah, life's all about perspective. It definitely is.
It is about perspective, and it's what your perspective is for you. It's not right or wrong. It's just for you.
Right.
And that's what quantum physics is telling us. You know, in this type of work, and I'm talking about what I do, what you do, Mary. We, you know, it's
And
easy.
Sarah does it too.
Sarah, it's easy to get to that place where why aren't they seeing it my way? Why aren't they getting it? And you have to be careful of that, because that's where the ego creeps in and you get to say, I'm special and you're not.
How
You
many
may not
times
think it,
hit you in the third eye?
or I'm arrogant. You don't want, you have to have compassion,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
probably in your last lifetime, or maybe just a few months ago, we were those people.
Mhm.
I have a friend, he's gone now, I'm sure. He was a massage therapist, and he was a monk. I don't know what order. It was Franciscan or Benedict. He wound up being an atheist, but he was the most spiritual person I knew, and he was an atheist. And but he was older and much wiser, and he would tell me stuff. And I wanted to go out and change the world. I'm going to be Dr. King, and then I know I'm going to be Denzel Washington. I'm going to make. And he used to say, "Hey, man, enjoy your life." And I used to say, "You're not getting it. You're just an old man." And now I'm him. He was just so wise. I just couldn't see it then. And I was younger, and I had all the answers. And, I don't need to change the world. I just need to change myself. I got a family. I got a lovely daughter. I got some good friends. I got my health for the most part. I'm living the dream. And so, I need to be thankful for that. And I am. And so, I'll plant a seed here and there, and I don't get upset because I don't need to be getting upset. All I need to be doing is living my life to the best of my ability.
Always
And the rest will take care of itself. The rest will take care of itself. Even if we get blown up or a big rock hits us or we get flooded, it's not about all that. It's about, well, Michael, what did you do with the time you had? That's what I believe. And I try not to worry about things I can't control. It may get me for a little while, whether it's politics or if I can't control it, I need to let it go because it's going to take away my joy.
Mhm.
And you need the joy in order to have hope. Your mom and I were talking about this the other day. In Hinduism, well, in the Vedic scriptures, they talk about ways of knowing. In the West, we call it epistemology. It's a big fan. But Mark Twain said, never use a 50-cent word when a 25-cent word will do. But it's ways of knowing. And they say there are two ways of knowing. There's knowledge that you acquire, which is reading, studying, and then there's knowledge that you become. And that's the higher form of knowledge.
Absolutely.
So you can't get here from here. You can't do it. It's like being depressed and being joyful at the same time. They can't reside in the same place. The longest journey that you will ever take will be from here to your heart chakra. Longest journey. And so I'm trying to become I want the wisdom. I want the knowledge that you become, because that way you don't have to talk about it. You just live it.
Yep.
You just live it.
No, that makes
And
sense.
that's what I've got. That's what I got on my journey. And from meeting them, they never told me this, but they led me to those places. Or maybe they did tell me. Maybe they put it in my head when I was asleep or whatever. But that's where this journey has taken me.
So for the viewers, how do you get out of here, out of that head into the heart chakra?
Meditation. All genuine spiritual paths talk about meditation. Now, I'm not talking about you have to sit in the lotus position, and that's the way I do it. I like the Zen style of meditation, but it's meditation and contemplation. It's being alone. It's getting to a place where you can be alone, and and you could be out here. We got a little pond out here. It's just where you can be alone and feel, and to feel, not to think, but to feel. Um, and so whether you're trying to develop your psychic ability, whether you're trying to, um, just chill, to be still and to know, because you can't hear the messages that you need to hear, whether you want to call it God or spirit or goddess or the force. You can't hear them when you're going all the time. You become a human doing instead of a human being. So any genuine spiritual path will always tell you you've got to spend time alone and quiet. Even if you're just, you could be journaling. I keep a journal. Sometimes I just sit on the porch and just stare, and time to think as well. But that's how you get out of your head. But in a 21st century life, where you're running and going and doing, and we're all consumers, and we're not really human beings. We're just numbers. What's your social? What's this number? What's that number? What's your license? It dehumanizes you, and you've got to say, wait a minute, I'm more than this, and that you're worth the time. You're worth 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, to be with Sarah, to be with Mary. I'm worth it. Right?
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
Sarah? Is Gigi and Sarah the same person? Okay. Yeah, you're worth it.
Gigi's my alter ego. She's a lot funnier than Sarah.
Okay. All right. So anyway, but that's how it answers your question. Those spiritual of meditation, contemplation, being alone, writing, journaling, it gets you out of here and into here.
Yeah.
So you can feel. What makes you a human being is that you feel. That's what makes you human, because you can rationalize anything. I mean, Hitler rationalized what he did to the Jews. Your mind can your mind can make you do anything, but you got to get in your heart chakra, and basically you want to use both, so you can be whole.
It's all about the balance.
Yeah, like the yin yang, a little dark in the light, a little light in the dark.
Absolutely.
Like Alice.
Hey, you can't have the darkness without the light.
No, you really can't.
I think I've said that like 862 times this week. To
'Cause
everybody
it's-
at work, I'm like, all right, look, I'm offers. I ain't got time for this, but this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to get away from that. Like, Jesus, all those stories, he goes off in the mountains. He goes away. You got to recharge.
Yeah.
You got to recharge. And they would follow him, some of them. You get on a little boat and go across the Sea of Galilee, and there you get off the boat, and there they are. But you needed that time to recharge and to commune with whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Interesting.
So how many books have you written? I know you've written books, but I never got you.
5.
5? What the hell?
I even knew that.
I did not know
And that's
that.
not even written down. It's because I sucked them.
Yeah, I've written 5, and they're quick reads, I think, but they cover my interest. I was getting known as the UFO minister, and I didn't want that, but that's the label I'm getting. But I wrote a book on prayer and meditation, and I wrote a meditation manual. This one, it's called The Metaphysics of Spiritual Healing and the Power of Affirmative
Did you
Prayer.
even watch the video I sent to you that I made for him?
Well, I saw
It's got it on
the
there.
screen thingies.
Yeah, and I wrote this one, God Consciousness. It's a 30-day. It's a meditation manual for a month, but it's got quotes from atheists, from Hindus, from scientists, from Christians. Yeah, and of course the other 2 books about UFOs and the Bible, and this one is for experiencers. It's called initiation. This is for people who are experiencers or they think they are. There's a chapter on when you're in a relationship and one of you is an experiencer and the other one isn't. And then there's several chapters on people who've had experiences.
So which one is the most meaningful to you?
Oh God, it's hard. They all are because I was at different spaces in my development. The UFOs and the Bibles, those first two books will always be near and dear, and that's those sell the most. The initiation one is the latest. I wrote that last year, and I'm going to focus more on that. But I think even to pray, I mean, even without the UFO experiences, that there's a way that we can commune in an affirmative way instead of looking at God like as a Santa Claus. And obviously you know this, Mary, and I'm sure you do, Sarah, that we can affirm that we already have it and we can manifest it. But we're not taught that. We're taught, dear God, please give me this. Dear God, please give me that. If you don't give it to me, that means I was a bad person. And I think that we need to get away from that. And if it moves you, and I think the meditation manual is nice. It's nice to wake up every day, and not the first thing I do is go on my phone. I do get there, but I can read I can read some poetry. I can read something inspirational. I can read an affirmation, just something to start and set up the day, because that's the way my day is going to be. And so, but it's so easy just to get on the phone, you know?
Into that, yes. That's what I always tell people when I'm giving them readings is meditation's more, doesn't have to be sitting there quietly for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody thinks that they're doing it wrong.
No, there's no way to do it.
Who's
But
telling
you
you
just have
this?
to remember, as long as it's calming you down.
Well, everybody's
As long-
got their own triggers, and the triggers is what we're going after. We're all different. So what's going to calm me isn't going to necessarily calm you. So
exactly. It's not a competition.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are times. No, there are times. I have a mat here, like a Buddhist mat, and sometimes I sit down and I'll just start crying. And I'll say, well, where was that from? And then I try not to think that, because now I'm out of my feelings. As soon as I start thinking, then the tears stop. But obviously, I was carrying all that around, and it could have been tears of joy, but maybe it wasn't. But my point being, if I didn't take the time to be still, I'm walking around with that. And so I'm going to treat you from that place. I'm going to treat my dog or my four-legger from that place. I'm going to treat my partner from that place, because I don't know what I'm feeling.
Exactly. It's got to come out, and that's the body cleansing.
So you got to take the time. You got to take the time to feel your feelings.
Sometimes it comes out in weird times. There's a video out there that my daughter has. We had family game night. I'm laughing, and all of a sudden I just started crying. I'm like, I don't even know what's wrong. I'm like, wait a minute. I knew what was like. I didn't know what triggered that, but I knew like what was happening. My emotions were physically cleansing themselves right
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Whether you liked it or not.
Yeah. And it's good. And it's good. It's good not to think too much, because then you'll stop. It's like sometimes, and some people don't even know that they're doing it. You get around people, and let's say someone is crying, or something triggers them. A lot of people, the first thing they do is, oh, let me give you a hug. Boom. And sometimes the person doesn't need a hug. It's good to ask, but sometimes we do that because we're uncomfortable with the display of emotion.
Yeah.
And so we stop it. We get uncomfortable. And a lot of times we don't know we're doing it. But sometimes you just let people be. When I do counseling, the other day I had someone and something triggered her about something between her and her ex-husband, and she started crying. And I just said there's some Kleenex there.
Let it
And I
out.
let her go through what she needed to go through. And then I was, you want to talk about that? What was going on? That's what we need. You don't need to fix everything. Sometimes you got to let things be,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be okay.
Oh, absolutely. So you gotta let it run its course and see its way out on its terms. We can't control
Can't control all of this.
all this. That's a hell of a job.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm a disaster.
No, you're not.
Well, it has been such an honor and pleasure meeting you and talking with you and hearing everything you have to say. I am like still taking it all in. I really am, because I did not know what to expect with this. I mean, I did stalk you, whatever, but it's different when you
It is
get
what it is.
when you get to actually talk to the person and hear from their own words versus like what I see on the internet or on a TV show clip that I got, some stuff like that. It was this was very enjoyable, and I've highly enjoyed talking to you and being able to pick your brain a little bit, because I was a little confused, because I was like, how do you put the Bible with aliens? Like, I just never thought about it that way. I know there's
Well, I mean,
so
but they're
many
telling you in the Bible that these in the language of their day, these flying chariots, they're coming down from the sky. These beings are coming from the sky. Now, notice nowhere in the Bible does it say these angels have wings. I'm not saying angels don't have wings. I don't want your listeners to get upset. But nowhere in the Bible, I think that wings were put on these beings. Our ancestors were trying to tell us they could fly. But they're, the Jewish religion, the Exodus, they're following a pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. It's in the sky. It stops. It hovers. It feeds them. Enoch, the book of Enoch. These beings are coming down from the sky. It's all through the Bible. If you look at Elijah, he goes up in the chariot.
Yeah.
So they're trying to tell you in the language of their day. We are
taking it literal.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Well, I think we need to take it literally. I don't think they're making it up.
Right.
They're telling you what they're seeing. Jesus leaves in a cloud. They say he's going to come back in a cloud. But our ancestors weren't stupid. They know people didn't ride in clouds, but they do know that UFOs camouflage themselves in the clouds. That little angel hair mist that can come out of the back of them, sometimes that can look like a cloud. It glows, the pillar of fire, a pillar of cloud by day, pillar of fire by night. That's their way of saying this thing glows.
Right.
It's like a pillar of fire. So, and you're like, it's in the sky. It's unidentified. Isn't that the definition of a UAP? Isn't that the definition of a UFO? So the Bible, it's all in it there. Even in the Hindu scriptures, in the Upanishads, in the Mahabharata, they talk about vimanas. They're flying machines. And they fight each other. They shoot at each other. Yeah. So this has been going on since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how many people don't allow their brains to wrap around it, if that makes sense.
Well, it's hidden in plain sight. But guess what? What are you going to do? You can't go to your church and your minister and tell them this. They're going to say something's wrong with you. But now you can. In some church, at least in my church, you can.
Well, good. I'm coming then. Let's go.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome if you're ever in this
trip. I love me a road.
And if you can't go, I think, Mary, you can go online and watch my services, which you did. That's how you got that clip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. What was I going to say?
Well, I know we've gone over, but I got a couple minutes.
I'm like, it's fine. Like, you don't have
you don't have anything better than do to talk to us.
Yeah, no. Sorry, that's all you do.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
Poor bastard.
I don't even feel bad for you at all. Like, a little bit.
Well, as long as I got enough energy to talk to Michael and Dale, it's all right.
Oh. Oh, I forgot about them.
I see how it is. Uh-huh.
No, it has been a pleasure. I would like to have you on again sometime.
Just call me. Just let me know.
Well, this was
It's not a
great.
big deal. Just let me know. Well, Mary can let me know, and we'll, if one day doesn't work, we'll do another day.
Oh,
It's a
absolutely.
little busier now with the holidays coming up, but you don't know unless you ask. So if you say, "Hey, what are you doing? Do you have it?" And I'll say either I can't, let's try this day, or what. But it's not.
Yeah,
I
we'll
would
figure
love to.
something out. Yeah.
I would
Awesome.
love to.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. So when is this going to air? Will you send me the link?
I will send you the link. So first it will be out audio, and then a week after that I will release this video part.
Yeah, send me this.
Okay. Oh, you want the good stuff? I can send you this actually before I release anything.
Whenever. It's no
I got you.
no big
But you
deal.
want to look back and see how much fun you had?
Yeah.
What I do? Yes. And I like to send them to my friends, and that way you get advertising and I get advertising.
That's amazing. That's what I say.
See?
Yeah.
I love
You
that.
kind of got to spread the wealth,
Yeah, I get you. I love that. So you
Yeah.
have anything else to say? We'll wrap this up so we can
Let's
get
wrap
prepared for
this
this
shit.
next one.
Let's go wrap this shit up so he can go
Wrap
cheat
this
on
shit
us. I see how
Don't
it is.
say that. Don't say that, Mary.
Until
Don't
next
say
time.
that. I'll see y'all. I'll probably talk to you. We'll
Yeah,
just talk.
probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
But Gigi, aka Sarah,
that's right.
it was a pleasure being on your show.
Well, thank you
I
for
thank
coming on. I'm so excited for the whole season. I based the whole season on aliens and everything
Yeah,
goes with
that's
it.
a nice way to do it. That's a
Yeah.
nice way to
I
do
didn't
it.
want to like try to cram it into an hour. There's way too much, even in a season. That's too much
It
to
is.
put in.
Well, you know what you can do if you're ever interested. Like when I first started talking about this, and people would say, "Can you come on and talk about, like around Christmas time,
Yeah.
talking about the Star of Bethlehem, because I
Mhm.
believe it was the ship. Maybe around Easter, you talk about, everything that was going on then with the crucifixion and all those possibilities. So I'm not saying you do it that way, but that way it's a little different. It's a
No,
little
I do
different.
like that.
Yeah,
Give me a second. I got my pen here.
yeah,
Syringe.
yes. You're crazy.
You didn't think that.
Yeah, I think you're crazy.
You know,
In a good way.
I'll take that as a compliment. I like it.
Please do. Yeah,
Makes
I
me-
know. After I talk to Michael and Dale, I'm going to have a beverage as well. I'm going to have some champagne.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us on this amazing episode. You don't want to add anything? That's in my notes. Remember to follow us on social media. Just search up paranormalxl. Sometimes it's podcast, sometimes just put in paranormalxl. Even on Amazon, it's pretty cool. Anyway, send in your paranormal stories or episode ideas to paranormalxl@writeme.com. Stay kind, stay humble, and remember, don't yuck someone else's yuck. I was trying to do something like that. Okay. Everything's delayed. March. So if you haven't listened to all my
You can say more words. I'm just listening to you. Stop that.
Yeah, I mean,
Words. Okay, so we are at the GG.
The same one where, no, but you know what? There's a
A little light for creepiness, I guess you could say. With my other co-host that I normally have on with me, we were talking.
That should be like.
I don't know, hold on.
We got the.
One does.
So you have something to actually hold it in.
Welcome to paranormalxl YouTube edition. I'm your host,